Hello there, you beautiful people. Now, at the end of the last video, I gave you a little bit of a teaser about something called aliases. Now, aliases are basically little nicknames for your commands or for your command pipelines that make them a lot easier to remember. Now, in this video, you're going to be learning how to create your very own command aliases. So very exciting. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step everything you need to do to create your own command aliases. And by the end of the video, you should have all the skills that you need in order to create easy to remember nicknames for your pipelines so that once you've written them, no matter how complicated they are, you can just use them over and over and over again without typing them all out, just using instead the easy to remember nickname. So this is super cool stuff, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do to start creating your own command aliases is to create a special file called bash aliases in your home folder. So to do that, to create the file, what we want to do is we want to click on activities at the top left, and then in this search bar here, just type the word text, and it should come up with a thing that says here text editor. Just click on that, and it will open up a new window where we've actually got a file. Now there's a button at the top here where you can click that says save. So I'm going to click save, and in my home folder I'm going to type a file that it needs to be spelled exactly the way that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so first of all you type a period or full stop. Okay, then you type bash, B-A-S-H, all in lowercase, then an underscore, then aliases, so A-L-I-A-S-E-S. Okay, so that's bash underscore aliases with a period or full stop at the beginning, everything in lowercase, and then go ahead and hit save. Okay, so now we have our bash aliases file, and actually I don't think for the minute we'll need the terminal, so I'm just going to close that as well. Okay, so make sure it is spelled exactly as it is up here, full stop, then bash underscore aliases, A-L-I-A-S-E-S, everything in lowercase, and once you've got that, we should be all good to go. So now you might be wondering, why did we actually need to name the file with a full stop at the beginning? That's quite strange. We don't normally name files like that, do we? Well, that full stop makes the file a special type of file called a hidden file. So if we go back into the file browser here, and we look in our home folder, you'll see that the bash aliases file isn't actually there. Where has it gone? Well, it's a hidden file, so it's kind of hidden. But where it actually is, if you click on this button here with the 3 bars, if you click that and then click on down here, there'll be a checkbox that says Show Hidden Files. If we check that, we'll be able to see that our bash aliases file has been created, but there are actually also plenty of other hidden files here that we hadn't seen before. But here we are. Here's our bash aliases file that we're currently editing, as well as actually even some hidden folders that maybe you didn't even know were sneaking around your system. But anyway, we don't need to worry about those for now. Let's just go ahead and click those 3 bars again and undo viewing hidden files so it all disappears again. So, we don't have to continue looking at monsters under our bed. And now we can go ahead and actually keep editing the bash aliases file. Okay, so now that we're in our bash aliases file, making an alias is actually really quite easy. So here's the command that we want to make an alias for. It's going to be a really long command with loads of complicated stuff in it, but we can do this. Okay, there's nothing new. It's just quite long. So we're going to type the date command. We're going to pass that into the cut command. We've seen this a bajillion times, right? We're going to tell it that the delimiter is a space, and we're going to get the first field. Okay, now we also want to have a copy of that data. We want to take a snapshot, so we're going to take the T command and save that in a file in our home folder called fulldate.txt. Okay, so we're doing well so far. Then we're going to take a snapshot of just the day of the week. We're going to save that in our home folder in a file called shortdate.txt. And then everything that comes out, we're going to pass into the echo command, but also give the echo command its own argument. Whew, that's quite a long command, right? So we're doing a lot of stuff in here, but the point is that it's long, because then you can see how useful aliases are, right? So the only thing to make it work for your computer is, instead of having Ziad, well, unless in the 1 in a bajillion chance that your name is also Ziad and you chose it to be your username on your virtual machine, which I think is unlikely, but if you are, send me message. But otherwise, just go ahead and change that with your username so that it matches the correct path on your computer. Otherwise, you're going to start getting errors. Okay, so just change if your username was Sally, just change it to be Sally. Okay, but mine was Ziad, so I'll keep it at that. Okay, so this is the command that we want. Now, to make an alias for it, let's say, for example, we wanted to, instead of typing out this massive command every time we wanted to do it, instead of just typing out that, what if we wanted to just type get dates, and that was going to be our alias? Well, all we have to do is just type the word alias, which is a special word, then press a space, then get dates, an equals sign, and then an apostrophe on either side of that command. So you can see there's an apostrophe here, and there's an apostrophe here. Okay? So like a single quote on either side of the whole massive command, then alias at the beginning, the name of the alias, an equals sign, and then quotes on either side of the massive command. So what we're saying is, hey, I want to make an alias called get dates that is exactly equal to this command. Now, when we save it and close it, so we need to close the editor. So we click on these three bars over here, click close, okay, and close all of this in general, I think. Let me just drag that down and close. Now, when we open our terminal, when we reboot our terminal, that alias should be loaded. Okay, so I want you to think of these aliases as being like your own commands, okay? So if we try and run the get dates command, shall we call it, if we go ahead and press enter, remembering that get dates was the name of our alias, we actually get some output. So that's pretty cool. Now, if we go ahead and look in our home folder, we'll also see that two new files have been created. So we've got fulldate.txt and shortdate.txt. So let's go ahead and take a look. In fulldate.txt, we've actually gone and got the full date. All the data has been passed into that. And shortdate.txt has had just the day of the week passed in. Isn't that awesome? Okay, because this has come from the alias. If I delete those and go ahead and run the get dates command again, we see that the files have been created one more time with the same data in them. So this is super cool, right? Like, instead of typing out that really, really, really long alias, that really, really long command every time we wanted to get that functionality, because we've created an alias and basically given a cute nickname to the command, get dates instead of the massive pipeline, we can now get the same functionality, but in a much easier to remember way, and a way that's actually easy to reproduce. So that's really awesome. But now let me show you something super cool, okay? You can actually also use aliases in bigger pipelines. So think of your alias as just being its own pipeline, right? If your alias, if that mini pipeline that you save can accept standard input, if the first command in it can accept standard input, then you can just pipe to the alias and run the whole pipeline, and then pipe out of the alias and continue on. It's like having your own little pipeline building block. So let me show you, okay? Let's say that we wanted to have an alias for our command that showed a calendar with 1 month before and 1 month after the current month. So the command for that would be cal, then A1, B1. Okay, so after 1 month, before 1 month. And we get the current month with 1 month after and 1 month before. Okay, so that's the command. If we go and head back in here, click these three horizontal bars, and show hidden files, click on our bash aliases file to open it up, and go onto a new line in the file. Let's create a new alias for that command. Okay, so we're going to say alias. We're going to say cal magic, short for calendar magic, and we're going to type an equals sign, and then you can actually type some speech marks. Okay, you don't have to have the single quotes, you can have speech marks as well, and we're going to type in there cal, then the A option, give it a number 1 as its own argument, then a B, capital B, then 1 as its own argument, and we're going to output that into a file in my home directory called thing.txt, and of course remember to replace this bit with your username that you're using on your virtual machine. Okay, so we're going to call that cal magic. But the cal command here, right, the cal command only accepts command line arguments. You can't pipe to the cal command by default. So to make this a valid pipeline that you can actually, this whole cal magic thing, a valid pipeline that you can pipe to, we need to actually put the xargs command at the beginning. Okay, so let's just do that. If you don't understand what I'm doing at the minute, just bear with me, okay? We're just making a building block, this whole thing, that we can pipe to. Okay, so that's what we've done right there. Now, whatever's going to be piped to cal magic will actually be piped to the xargs command, which will then convert the data from standard input, which cal doesn't accept, to command line arguments, which cal does accept, and so therefore the whole pipeline will work. Okay, this is going to be awesome. Just trust me, okay? Let's go ahead and do this. Let's save and close everything, and close our terminal and reboot it. So I'm going to press Control Alt and T to open up our terminal. Now, if I echo 12/2017 into cal magic, what's going to happen is I'm going to be echoing this data as command line arguments to the cal magic command. So what we're expecting to happen is that we're expecting that we're going to get December 2017, the calendar for it, with a month before and a month after, okay, saved to a file in our home directory. So if I press enter, we don't get any output, but if we go into our files here, we will see that there is a file in here called, here we are, thing.txt. Ta-da! We've actually managed to save the calendars for December 2017, 1 month before and 1 month after, into a file called thing.txt in our home folder. And the reason that happened, it's probably a lot easier to see if I actually get rid of these hidden files. No. No, I will keep them, because otherwise I'll lose where I am. But what happened is we basically passed to the xargs command two pieces of information. We passed it 12 and 2017, which were then given as command line arguments to the calendar command. So you can see how all this stuff is starting to tie together, right? And we've made a mini pipeline called CalMagic that will now be able to run a command whenever we want. So we don't have to type out this ugly thing. We just have to remember CalMagic. And because we made it possible to pipe to the first command in our alias, the whole pipeline will work, and we can just use it like a mini building block in whatever programs that we want to make. So how awesome is that, right? Can you see how crazily powerful the ability to write aliases for pipelines and use those aliases in other pipelines can actually be? Right? The possibilities really are limitless with what you can achieve with that ability. So let's just leave it there. I'm going to leave your mind blown with that. And let's just go ahead and now take a summary of what we've learned about aliases. Okay, so that's enough being mind blown for now. I hope you're as excited as I am by what you've learned in this video about aliasing. Aliasing is an absolutely incredible ability with really limitless potential if used in the right way. So let's just have a quick recap to make sure that you've got it all down. So in this video, first of all, you learned that an alias is basically just an easy to remember nickname for a command or a series of commands joined together in a pipeline. Now, to create an alias, you need to first have a file called .bash_aliases, all in lowercase, in your home folder, and that's where you actually put that's the file that you actually put your aliases in. And these aliases therefore will be specific to your user. Now, as a bonus point, you learned that a period or full stop or a dot at the start of a file name makes that file hidden. So, and you also saw how to turn on or off the visibility of hidden files in your file viewer. Okay. Now, inside the bash aliases file, you saw that it was actually quite easy to make an alias, right? This is the way that you do it. First, you type the keyword alias all in lowercase. Then you put a space, and then you put the alias name. So ours was get dates, or it was CalMagic, or whatever you want to call it. That's your nickname, okay? Then you put an equals sign without adding a space, without a space at all between the alias and the equal sign. So you just put an equal sign immediately. Then you open some quotes. These quotes can be either single quotes using an apostrophe, or normal double quotes like you would use for speech marks. Again, without any spaces, without any gaps between that and the equal sign. Then you just create your pipeline, or you use your command. Again, you can have options and command line arguments just like you normally would. Okay, these can go on for as long as you want. Okay, now as long as you make sure that you restart your terminal, you'll then have access to that alias forever. Okay, and as another bonus point, look, you get 2 bonus points in this summary. Feel very spoiled. But as long as you make sure the first command in that alias, in that pipeline, can actually be piped to, okay, then you can just pipe to the alias, pipe to the nickname, and it's as if you're piping to the whole pipeline. If I say the word pipe one more time, I'm probably going to go insane. but you get the point, right? If you make it so that your pipeline can be piped to, either by using the xargs command or by just using a normal command that can accept standard input, then instead of having to, you can basically use that alias, that mini pipeline, as a tiny building block in some massive other pipeline that you're building to create a really epic bit of functionality. Okay, so aliases used in the right way with what you've learned about piping and xargs and all sorts of stuff, making these long pipelines is an epic ability. So now you can build your own command pipelines and even save them for use later. When you understand that, basically anything in the Linux operating system can be modified using command line. You've really understood the crown jewel that makes the Linux operating system so amazing, because anything can be edited using the command line, and you know how to create these how to use these commands and pipe them all together to do whatever you want. You've really got a master key there to take your computing to the next level. But in order to take advantage of this, all you need now are just some more building blocks to actually build your pipelines with, right? So in the next section of the course, we're actually going to be covering a whole bunch of those building blocks, because the next section of the course is all about navigating your file system, creating and manipulating files, making folders, copying and pasting files, creating backups of your system, and so much more. But before we get into all that goodness, I want to make sure that you understand everything that we've covered in this entire section of the course first, because it's been an incredibly foundational, incredibly important section of the course. And if you understand everything in this section, you will not go far wrong with anything else you learn when using Linux. And I also want to make sure that you're duly congratulated for your amazing progress so far. You really deserve to have, some recognition of what you've done in this section, what you've learned, and how far you've come. So in the next video, we're going to have a celebration of your really impressive progress and a quick recap of what we've covered in this section. It's going to be awesome. So for a review of this section and some well-deserved celebration and praises, I will see you in the next video.